Pakistan was once a cricketing powerhouse, feared for its lethal fast bowlers, unpredictable match winners, and the ability to pull off miracles when least expected. But in 2025, despite being the host nation of the Champions Trophy, a major ICC event returning to Pakistan for the first time in nearly 3 decades, the national team suffered a humiliating exit. Not only did Pakistan fail to capitalize on home advantage, but they also became the first team to be knocked out in the group stage, marking yet another embarrassing chapter in the decline of Pakistani cricket. How did we get here? How did a country with such a rich cricketing legacy fall so low? The answer lies within the Pakistan Cricket Board and its consistent failures, mismanagement, and internal politics that have plagued the sport for years. Pakistan entered the Champions Trophy as the defending champions, having won the last edition in 2017. However, their performance in the 2023 ODI World Cup had already raised concerns. Despite having a squad filled with talent, Pakistan finished outside the top 4, failing to qualify for the semi-finals. Then, in 2024, Pakistan struggled in the bilateral series leading up to the Champions Trophy, with inconsistent team selections, poor performances, and constant changes in leadership. The Champions Trophy was an opportunity for redemption. Pakistan was hosting an ICC event after nearly 30 years, a historic moment for the country. The format of the tournament was straightforward. 8 teams divided into 2 groups, with the top 2 advancing to the semi-finals. But even with home conditions and crowd support, Pakistan failed to make an impact. They opened their campaign against New Zealand, where the visitors posted a massive 320. Pakistan, in response, never looked in control and collapsed to a 60-run defeat. Then came the most anticipated clash, Pakistan versus India. It was a must-win match, but the team crumbled under pressure, getting bowled out for just 241 runs. India chased it down with ease, thanks to a brilliant century by Virat Kohli, adding yet another painful loss to Pakistan's already dreadful record against India in ICC events. With 2 back-to-back defeats, Pakistan's fate was hanging by a thread. Their final group stage match against Bangladesh was washed out due to rain, sealing their elimination from the tournament. Pakistan and Bangladesh were knocked out, while India and New Zealand advanced to the semi-finals. The home team, despite being the host nation and defending champions, was out before the knockout stage even began. So what went wrong? The blame falls squarely on the PCB, an institution that has become synonymous with instability, favoritism, and poor decision-making. Pakistan's cricketing woes aren't just about losses on the field. They are deeply rooted in the way the sport is governed. Over the last few years, PCB has seen frequent changes in leadership, with new chairmen being appointed and removed based on political affiliations rather than merit. The instability at the top has trickled down to the team, with multiple captaincy changes, sudden coaching staff overhauls, and players being dropped or recalled without a clear strategy. This lack of continuity has severely affected team morale and long-term planning. Pakistan's squad selection process has been riddled with controversies. Merit often takes a backseat to favoritism, with players selected based on personal connections rather than performances. Several deserving domestic players have been ignored, while underperforming players continue to get opportunities due to backing from influential figures. Unlike other successful cricketing nations, Pakistan lacks a clear roadmap for its future. There's no consistent development program, no structured approach to nurturing young talent, and no emphasis on modern cricketing strategies. While teams like India and England have adapted to the changing dynamics of limited overs cricket, Pakistan still relies on outdated tactics that don't work in today's fast-paced game. Another area where PCB failed was in handling India's participation in the Champions Trophy. Due to political tensions, India refused to play matches in Pakistan, leading to a hybrid model, where some matches were shifted to the UAE. This was a massive diplomatic setback for Pakistan, as the board struggled to negotiate effectively with the ICC and the BCCI. While they initially rejected the hybrid model, they eventually had to agree to it, making it clear that PCB lacked the influence to assert its authority even while hosting a global tournament. The PCB's approach to managing players and coaching staff has been shockingly unprofessional. Players have complained about inadequate facilities, poor communication, and last-minute decisions that disrupt their preparation. Coaches and support staff have been changed frequently, leading to a lack of stability and continuity. Even during the Champions Trophy, reports surfaced about dressing room tensions, unclear roles, and mismanagement within the team setup. Pakistan's exit from the Champions Trophy isn't just about poor performances in a few matches. It's a symptom of a much deeper crisis. The best teams in the world have strong, well-structured boards that prioritize cricketing excellence over politics. The BCCI, despite its own controversies, has built a system that consistently produces world-class players. England revolutionized their white ball cricket after the 2015 World Cup debacle and became one of the most dominant teams in limited overs cricket. Even Afghanistan, a relatively new cricketing nation, has shown significant progress due to a structured approach. Pakistan, on the other hand, remains stuck in a cycle of mismanagement. The same mistakes keep repeating: poor selections, internal politics, lack of investment in domestic cricket, and a board that prioritizes personal agendas over national interests. The result? A national team that struggles to compete at the highest level, despite having one of the most passionate fan bases in the world. Pakistan's early exit from the Champions Trophy should serve as a wake-up call. But will it? If history is anything to go by, the PCB will likely respond with cosmetic changes. Maybe a new coach, a different captain, or a few statements about rebuilding. But unless the system itself is fixed, Pakistani cricket will continue to decline. The solutions aren't complicated. The PCB needs professional leadership, a transparent selection process, and a long-term strategy for player development. Cricketing decisions should be made by cricketers, not bureaucrats or politicians. Meritocracy should replace favoritism, and Pakistan's domestic structure needs a complete overhaul to ensure a steady pipeline of talent. If these fundamental issues aren't addressed, the next time Pakistan hosts an ICC event, the story will likely be the same. High expectations, early exit, and another painful reminder of how far the team has fallen. The choice is clear. Either the PCB reforms itself and reclaims Pakistan's lost cricketing glory, or the country continues to suffer embarrassing failures on the world stage. The fans deserve better. Pakistani cricket deserves better.